This sounds like a privacy disaster. Well, privacy left the chat a while ago. It seems privacy is a thing of the past. There is no expectation of privacy anymore. What privacy? Unless you're completely off the grid, you no longer have any privacy. They always have the data anyways. Go live in a cave in a forest. Ditch internet from your life. Normal people, including you, don't care about privacy, or you wouldn't even be using normal browsers. That is an actual comment, and this is on the latest MKBHD video, and I have been getting a lot more of these comments on our channel. The pattern here is someone expresses concern for privacy, and they are met with this, "Rip privacy. That's cute that you think we still have privacy. Bro, you're 18 years too late." These are actual comments. They aren't outliers. This is actually a dominant take that I'm seeing all over the internet right now, from Reddit to YouTube, which is quite dangerous, and it didn't happen by accident. Let's talk about it. So we've been covering privacy for over 10 years, and I can tell you that when we started the first 5 or 6 years, there was a lot more ownership, and people were like, wow, this is so cool. I'm glad we discovered this. But in the last few years, I started seeing more of this take, which is like, LOL, why are you publishing privacy content? Why not just give up? The more I looked into it, I think this hopelessness actually has a name, and it has a designer, and it is actually a lot more cynical than it might seem at first glance. You see, there was actually a research article that was put out, and it's from someone named Joseph Turo. Now, the term they coined here is digital resignation, and essentially, it's an easy definition. It's people who want privacy but believe nothing they do will actually get them any. The wanting and the giving up coexist in the same person. Pew Research has actually backed this up later, because Americans say overwhelmingly that they care about privacy and that they feel powerless to do anything about it. It's the same person from the same survey, and they feel both of those things. Now, I don't think that any of this is an accident. Think about something as simple as cookie banners. Every site, the same dance. You have 12 pages of toggles, you have dark patterns to try to get you to not click where you should be clicking. The companies themselves designed that consent flow, and they designed it to be exhausting on purpose. And you can see this pattern all over big tech services. You're going to find privacy settings buried 4 menus deep. The default settings are set to maximum data collection. The terms of service are designed to be unreadable, so people don't even know what they're agreeing to. And data export tools to get you to move to better platforms are deliberately broken. These are not bugs, people. They are a design system where the entire goal is to manufacture the feeling that resistance is pointless. So when we see these comments on YouTube from people who are being doomers about privacy that are in our comments as well on our channel, that's not a personality flaw. That isn't laziness. It's actually the output, an intentional output and feeling from a multi-decade design project to make people feel powerless and give up control of their technology. Here's another one. Privacy has turned into a joke. No, you were wrong here. It was always a joke. It's more obvious now. Now, I'm going to be more blunt than maybe I normally am on the channel, because I think that there's no way to comfortably get around some tough things that people probably need to hear, because this frustrates me, right? Like, this is what I do. I try to teach people how to actually take control of their privacy and security and genuinely stay safer online. We have period tracking apps that have been subpoenaed in abortion prosecutions. It's quite concerning stuff. We have license plate readers that have absolutely no transparency and no opt-outs that anybody can go through. We have insurance companies that are pricing premiums based on data they bought from health apps that you forgot that you even installed. We have employers screening candidates against social media profiles and credit data from people searching websites that you never even opted into being a part of. This is where we are today in 2026, and we have AI scooping up all that data and using it to build products that they are now trying to sell you. So they exploit you to sell you things to exploit you further is kind of the pattern here. A quick history lesson to speak to something that I think is quite similar. For 50 years, tobacco companies didn't argue that smoking was safe. They probably thought that was unwinnable, but instead they kept arguing and pushing that the science just wasn't settled. They funded studies, they hired scientists, they got the public to say, who really knows, and to try to dismiss those concerns. That doubt actually harmed people for decades. This privacy is dead sentiment is almost a very similar playbook. The companies don't have to convince you that surveillance is good. They just have to convince you that fighting is naive and to sow enough doubt that you can do anything about it. And here's where I'm going to be a bit brutally honest, right? I want everybody watching this, including people who have left those comments thinking that privacy is naive, to actually sit with this, because I think the people who say privacy is dead still close the door when they use the bathroom. They still don't hand their unlocked phones to strangers on a bus. They still lower their voice when they're talking about money in a restaurant. They still don't tell their boss what they really think of them. The behavior in their day-to-day life probably proves they actually do value privacy. And if I was to sit with one of you, you would probably say, okay, yeah, I probably do value some privacy. So I actually think the dismissal is the cope. And I get it, because it's hard to admit that you care and then admit that you lost ground. That's very uncomfortable. It's easier to say it never mattered than to say it mattered and let it slip. That's a really human, normal response to feeling powerless, but it's still the response that's overall creating the self-fulfilling privacy that might eventually kill privacy. Because here's the thing, privacy only dies if we actually let it die, if we think that it's a dead concept. As long as people still stand up and say that privacy means something to them, there's going to be a market and there's going to be a voice there for people who value services that take privacy seriously. So now I know what some of you were thinking. Fine. Okay, Henry, privacy might not be dead, but what can I actually do? You keep saying there's things to do and I'm not hearing anything from you, so maybe this is all full of crap. The answer is you can actually do things that are measurable. The Doomers' strongest argument is nothing I do matters, and that is a fallacy. That's not true. There are a lot of things you can do that matters, and I have receipts to back it up. You know, if you're using a browser and you install something like uBlock Origin, or you install something like AdGuard, or you install something like Ghostery, these are ad blockers that have tracking protection built into them, and they tell you exactly how many things are blocked on a website. Let's use YouTube, for example. Right here on the top, you can literally see that it's blocking trackers and ads that block Google ads that are used to not just track you on YouTube, but all around the internet. That means that simply using an ad blocker and or a tracker blocker, or just using a browser that bakes these in out of the box, gives you immediate, measurable privacy benefits that actually prevents probably 80% of the overall surveillance economy on the web. That's not a vibe. I'm not misleading you. That is a measurable counter. Every number on the counter is a request to a surveillance company that didn't happen because you just installed a basic extension in your browser. Every time that you move to an open source end-to-end encrypted messenger like Signal and you convince even one person to install it, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting other people in your life. This is a network effect. You can go into our resources or any other resource, it doesn't have to be ours, online, and you can make just a single switch. Just switch from Google to a privacy-based search engine. Now, every search query you do is no longer going to be scooped up inside of this Gemini model that people clearly have concerns about, as so many of the comments on this video have to do with privacy. Of course, I'm personally annoyed at these comments because when people say there's nothing to do, it's obviously they're not talking about me. But if what they're saying is true, then it means everything we talk about on this channel is bullshit, which it's not. We have millions of people who watch our content. Many of you are watching right now, and they have done real actionable things that they can measurably prove improved their privacy, not just for them, but the people around them. Each of those things I showed you is proof that the nothing I do matter story is a complete lie, because the people who keep saying it, I just don't, it's too hard to cope with the fact that it's such a losing battle. So I really want to remind everybody out there, this video is, sort of coming from a place of frustration, but I think it speaks to a really powerful thing that's been going on that needs to be tackled in some way, shape, or form on an individual and a systemic level. So when you see somebody, you listening to this, when you see someone in the comments calling out a privacy concern, first off, back them up, right? And also, if there's someone else that's rolling their eyes at them and they're calling them naive, I don't think that's being reasonable. That mockery is actually a manufactured response. The concern that the original person had is the human and is the real concern that I think is actually very natural to be asking questions about. The people trying to shut it down, I think actually genuinely deep down care about privacy. It's just really, really hard to acknowledge that it actually is a little bit harder to do today than it ever was. And after doing this for over 10 years, this is now kind of becoming almost my new biggest concern, right? We're only ever one data breach away from something else that's happening. There's always surveillance laws. We cover all that stuff back here. But what is not an easy thing to fix or an easy thing to navigate is this cultural fight where everybody is saying it's pointless, so why care? If we lose that fight, then everything else is lost. So please try to take this seriously. Try to make a difference where you can. Everyone has a place in this fight. And if any of this landed with you, again, just go to any resources online. It can be ours. I'll leave it linked, but it can be any resource out there. Just pick a single privacy respecting service, migrate to it, see that it isn't actually that hard to do, and it gives you measurable results results, and then see over time if you want to use other ones. That's how this whole journey works. It's not privacy overnight. It's you can slowly improve your privacy over time. That's all I have to say. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on Techlore. Thank you to our Techlorians for making all of this possible, and you can join them down in the description and join our Signal group if you want a group to join when you join Signal. See you soon.